Psych.
I'm gonna pull the whole thing down. I'm gonna bring the whole fucking diseased, corrupt temple down on your head. It's gonna be biblical.
Well, happy Thursday, everyone. Here we are, Patriots Across the Pond. I'm Elisa V, and of course, this is Stu from Stu's News, and we're so happy you guys are joining us today. How you doing, Stu?
I'm doing great. Welcome to Thursday Afternoon Waffle, or as I like to call it, a week in review with Elisa and Stu. There you go. And when Wendy's put a nice comment in here to start off the happy day. Hey, Stu, it's pissing down here. Yeah, it's not raining here, but it has gone down a few degrees. It's taters in the mold.
Yeah, well, we had our really cold weather last week. You know, we had like 20s. Actually, it was the beginning of the week. This week is going so slow. I can't believe it's Thursday, but yet it feels like it's
next week.
It's like a long time. Yeah. But we had cold weather. Today's actually really nice. When I say really nice, for New York in December. I think it's in the 30s, but the sun is shining. So I'm not gonna complain about that, you know?
Yeah, definitely. So
last night.
Yeah, okay. Start that. We're just, I've got a load of stuff written down on the list. It's been a rather hectic week. I was talking to Kate on the chat last night. She was just before we went live or anything. I just loaded it up last night. Kate was in there, and Jason went live last night. And so many people going live to broadcast Trump's speech.
Yeah.
And
there's so, you and I were on. I know it was like, what was it? 1 a.m. for you?
2
in the morning. It was 9 p.m. Eastern time here. So we were watching it together. I think like if you're not really in the right mindset, last night's speech could have, really annoyed a lot of awakened people, because I think we were hoping that there was going to be something major that was going to, we always do. We always hope that it's going to be some kind of real eye opener that he's going to talk about. But as we were saying, I'm not sure last night was really for us, meaning the awakened. I mean, yes, I'm sure we're going to dissect and talk about certain things. But I think for the most part, it was really just like a boom, 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 right to the point. I mean, he was not at all his jovial, where he even makes some jokes, or he, gives some little jabs at people. Last night was really just like very businesslike, and I found it to be almost like the way he was speaking, there was like an abruptness to it. was trying to say things loud and and he was giving a lot of statistics and numbers, but it wasn't really anything, news flashy for us. I think he was just trying to drive home to the normies.
Yeah.
What's been happening. What do you think?
Yes. Right. Well, loads of people were bigging it up yesterday. I think this is going to happen. I think that's going to happen. And then obviously we've always got the be prepared for a rug pull, people. You know, if you're getting told one thing, you might get another. And John Errol, great tweet. If you don't stand on the rug, it cannot be pulled out from under you. Yes, always remember that. But
yeah,
there was loads of people saying this happening on the 17th, this, that, and everything else. And what's really interesting is I listened to a few other people, but then there was 3 more people that I listened to yesterday. 1030 was saying that Trump was going to announce a national emergency. Sheila Holmes was saying that we could see an EBS, a verbal EBS. This could be it with Jaco. And Tucker was saying Trump's going to make an announcement to go to war, Venezuela, all these sorts of things. Now, I believe that there was a lot of comms in that speech anyway, but I know we had a brief discussion about Phil the other day and whether you like him or hate him and what we were saying about just the information, right? He spoke for about 5-10 minutes on it, and out of everyone, he was almost spot on with Trump talking about Christmas, tariffs, wishing everyone a happy thing. But I think what it was, and Bio Clandestine said this morning, the sad thing is the main reason Trump gave his address is because the MSN won't report on Trump's accomplishments. Trump essentially had to bait the MSN into thinking he was declaring war with Venezuela just to get 15 minutes of positive Trump coverage on their networks, which is potentially why Trump spoke so quick. Because Josh George was saying he was trying to do it in 17 minutes and it was 19 minutes because he did mumble a couple of times. I know that where he's usually just, and he didn't go into his all weave and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, it was not for us, even though there was comms in there and a big enough for the military. We're putting out this $1,776 each to the troops. 1.45 million troops, I think, are going to get that paycheck to boost morale and all these sorts of things. It was to get the mainstream media to wake up more normies, I think. And while that was going on, I would suggest there was many other things, military-wise, arrest-wise, and all the other stuff going on in the background anyway.
Yeah, 100%. And I think there was, listen, in this speech, I don't know if anybody else felt this way, but what I noticed and felt was there were so many numbers. Like there were statistics and numbers and dollars and, of course, his usual, this hasn't been done in 3,000 years, right? That came up when he was talking about the peace and everything, which we know has sort of a double meaning. But as we were, sitting there watching, like when we were sitting together watching, Alpha last night, and they were kind of, decoding a little bit some of the timestamps and how they related to Q posts. And, I do think a lot of that was clearly in there, because some of them made a lot of sense. But there seemed to be didn't his demeanor seem kind of different? Like, I can't explain it. It just, he felt, like you said, quick and a little rushed, which, I'm sure was on purpose. I'm not saying he was really rushed. It felt rushed. It felt very businesslike. There wasn't a lot of interpersonal things. And it was, I don't know, for me, it felt a little different. Did it feel different than his usual?
Yeah. Well, I definitely looked at it and thought, that's the real Trump there. But then I thought, maybe it's not actually. Do you know what I mean? It's weird, isn't it? How you look at these mannerisms and stuff like that. But I was just, it was the way he was speaking so fast.
Yes.
That it was like, this is important. I need to get this message out as quick as possible. And, you know, I'm sure many people will be decoding that over the few days anyway. But tomorrow is the 19th. We're meant to be getting a drop on the Epstein files potentially, but don't stand on the rug just in case.
Yeah.
Three Eye Atlas is as close to us.
Yeah. So, yeah, one of the comments, was it pre-recorded? I don't think it was, but how do we really know? You know, I think they said it was live. It was going live. We don't listen. We can conject on that all day because we never really know what's live and what's recorded, right? We never will. We, you know,
Well, do you remember the early days when, I mean, there's a lot of Trump speeches where he's always wearing the same tie. He's obviously knocked out 20 speeches on the same day that they're going to release on different dates. Remember watching Trump when the background was just moving slightly like that, and everyone was going, he's on a plane or he's on a submarine or something.
Right.
Remember all those times? This is a lot of the stuff we've seen is pre-recorded, you know, but there was no, we might have heard some background noise and things like that, but it was just Trump speaking, wasn't it? There was no one else there. He started, he finished. There was no reporter questions and anything like that. So of course it could have been. Definitely.
Yeah, we'll never know. You know what? I think the word I'm looking for is warmth. I didn't feel much warmth in this speech, right? Did you feel that too?
Not particularly.
It's usually whatever he says, whenever he talks to the American people, even if it's tough stuff, or there's a warmth. So it was very devoid of emotion. Let me put it that way. It was very devoid of emotion.
It was almost like, we're at war. Shit's about to go down. I've got things on my mind. I wish I could tell you other stuff. You know what I mean? All those sorts of things rolled into one, really.
Yeah.
Wendy just said maybe you need to go for a piss.
You never know. You never know. Yeah, I'm trying to think of just some other things that stood out. You know, just like I said, what did hit me was that he gave a lot of numbers and a lot of statistics on dollars, percentages. He did emphasize twice or three times the fact that 100% of the jobs were strictly for American-born citizens, right? He said that, I think, twice. Could be wrong. Maybe it was three times, but he emphasized that. And then, he kept emphasizing 11 months, the last 11 months. Now, that's true, right? It is 11 months, but usually in a speech, you use different terms like since I took office, since January, right? Over the course of the last year, like he just kept saying 11 months, 11 months. So there's a lot of 11s. And then there were a lot of 11s. There were a couple of 11s in the facts and figures he was giving.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I don't really try and decode too much stuff now because there's so many people out there that all they do is decode everything. And it's not just them on a show. They've got many helpers that are out there doing stuff, and then they send them the information and they use it in the show. You know, like Abs and Stormy, Matrix Code Break, all these people, Jason, you know, it's brilliant. So I sort of like see what they dig up, and while they're doing that is try and speak about as many other things as I can, really. Yeah.
And you know, like everybody, like you said, there's a lot of people that spend a lot of time and hours and specialists that decode, but you know, part of what Q wants us to do too is to look at some of the patterns and some of the things. So I think it's important for us, even on this show, even if we don't go dive deep, I think it's important to raise some of the points that we see when he's speaking. You know, let our audience and other people give some thought to what their own interpretations are, their own research, right? Because we can't always rely on everyone else. We want to start to see these things a little bit on our own and question, even if you watch a lot of these other people who kind of specialize in the decoding. It's good for everyone to start making some of those connections on their own. I think that's
don't get me wrong, I've done plenty of decodes for myself. And
Right.
when I do see something, I put it on Twitter and I'll tag the people I want to see it, right? Whether that's Trump, Scavino, General Flynn, you know, Absence, whoever like that. And a lot of the time, I don't get any response, right?
Yeah.
So I think I'm not doing that anymore. But whether that means I'm way off the mark or whether that means I'm right over the target, is another matter, isn't it? Because if you are right over the target with the decode and stuff, you're not potentially going to be told about it by people in Trump's administration.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Gold star for that boy.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, it's not going to happen like that. But we are seeing so many comms and comms and comms coming out constantly to us, and 17s, even when Trump stood at the Navy game in between that players 11 and 96, makes a 17, and other players that were there, certain angles and photo shots, people decoding, look, goes to this drop and stuff. You know, there's so much there. Just got to keep your eyes on it all the time.
Yep. Yeah, that's the key, you know, and that's what I think what we're supposed to be doing. You know, we're not supposed to just blindly just listen anymore. And I think most of us, at least people that follow us and follow a lot of the people we follow, you know, we're learning that it's important to kind of look behind the curtain on a lot of things.
Yeah.
Let our instincts and gut tell us, you know, what feels right, wrong, needs to be questioned, needs to wait a while, you know, till some of the answers come. So, I mean, there was a lot of like Juan was actually saying, Juan O'Savin, you know, part of what he was saying was how his speech was going to also like connect to the whole situation with Tina Peters right now in Colorado. Like he had said that was going to be like a bit of a linchpin. He didn't use those words, but you know, and because I guess the technicality that's going on, like even though he pardoned her, there's the technicality with the state and what, you know, what can be done federally versus on a state level. So that didn't come up. We know that didn't come up at all. None of that kind of stuff came up, but it'll be interesting to see what does come up, right, over the next couple of days, weeks with that situation. And
well, there's Trump said, didn't he? We are going to be releasing information for the election fraud of 2020 in the next couple of months. The following day, Tina Peters was pardoned. That is not a coincidence.
No.
That is narrative seeding into the public normosphere to prep people for what's coming.
Yeah.
What do you think is going to be that first catalyst? The first arrest, the Epstein files, the unveiling of the 2020 election, COVID truth?
Okay, so I think if we've learned anything from this operation over the last 8 years, and then more specifically where it's really been out there the last 5 years, I think what we've learned is that nothing comes out for the normies. What looks like a big flood to us does not look like a big flood to the normies, right? We can agree on that. So I don't think anything is going to come. This is just my opinion. I think they are still approaching this operation to go methodically on the mainstream narrative and, you know, drop the way they're dropping things. So to answer your question, I don't think it's going to be like something that huge. I think it's going to be a slow build. So for example, and you know, this is just conjecture, right? It's not like I really believe this or I put a lot of thought into it, but like I think the Tina Peters situation could be a really good lead in to a lot of this where, you know, and it's interesting because I believe it was Juan O'Savin when he was on with Mel Carmine then put a lot of notices in a lot of places on Telegram for a lot of us, you know, podcasters and people that have channels to start to, you know, send letters and put it out there that Tina Peters needs to be released and all this kind of stuff. But I think it was to build that awareness, right? To just keep building that awareness. So now it's coming out more and more. Now you have Trump pardoning her, right? And so people, listen, most people couldn't tell you who she was for the most part, right? They're not zoomed in on it unless you're really focused like we all are. So I think if they lead with that, and that brings us back to the whole election and the election fraud. I think that that's what they're going to go to first.
So,
And I still think that this whole Epstein situation, because it's tied to everything, right? It's tied to it's tied to everything. It's tied to the banking industry. It's tied to Israel. It's tied to everything. I think that's still going to be a bit of a drawn out, because they're using that to get more and more people, all this little baiting that they're doing on the mainstream, which I believe is the good guys planting this narrative to get people to say, oh, Trump was on that, he was on there, right? So now you're going to get more and more people engaged, the normie community, the Trump derangement syndrome people, to start to focus. And you can't really come out with any of these truths until you have all eyes on it.
Well, I think we're going to get 2020 election truth first, if I'm going to make a bet on it, because everything else stems from that. Because when people realise that the 2020 election was stolen, they're going to be saying, well, why was it stolen and how was it stolen? Then comes in COVID, doesn't it? And mail-in ballots and locking people down and mask wearing. Then comes in BLM, and everything else. Once you start turning people's heads to this is all going to come out through the legal system as well.
Yeah.
Department of Justice or military, obviously, coming out with the truth. I still want to see JFK Jr. walk out and go, I am Q. That's Q plus there. The old guy that dyes his hair silver and blonde and gold on different days and things.
Yeah.
That's what I want. Mind you, I wanted the Scooby-Doo ending when they ripped Biden's mask off in 2021.
I just think we've, like you said, as in our community, I think we want so badly to see the drama of the reveal. And I just think we're just not going to see it the way we want to see it. I think they've done so much to reveal it, but it's in these very veiled ways. I mean, to us, it looks obvious, but it's still veiled for the, for the world and the country at large. Right? I mean, all the stuff with Biden.
Yeah, and don't forget, the movie is not for us. Even though we're the ones watching it, it's not for us. It's for them. Right. To wake them up slowly. Right. That's why it's a long played out narrative.
And it's really very annoying, because we would, it would make our day and our month and our year if we saw one of these kinds of things, right? If we just,
but it's gonna kill them. It's gonna ruin them, which is why it's been drawn out so long. When you said COVID will be the hard one to swallow, Ian said the truth will damage so many. Yes, it will, and we know that. And this is why we've planted seeds and tried to wake them up and had them ignore us and ban it and whatever, all these things.
Yeah.
Right? And we still do it because we don't know what suicide weekend is about in the drops yet, do we? Hopefully that's the Epstein files coming out and all these lot topping themselves, hanging themselves in doorknobs and etc. Right? We don't want that to be any way towards the people we love and all that, not being able to handle the truth.
You just reminded me of something. Two things. The first, with the suicide weekend, what struck me, because I'm kind of stuck and fixated on this Rob Reiner thing. I can't seem to kind of get it. As soon as I heard the news, I was like, okay, is that a humiliation ritual? Is that just the time? The timing was when it had to be. So all eyes were back on Hollywood and that community. There's so many what ifs, right? But what I find interesting about it is most of the people, I'm just trying to think now, most of the people that we know were bad that died, they seem to die sort of innocuous deaths, right? Like Colin Powell, he was sick for so long, he had this, he had that, like they died of sort of sick illnesses for the most part, right? Unless you could think of anybody who it was an accident, some kind. This was a violent death. This was violent. Like the story itself is horrible. He stabbed to death, him and his wife. And not only are they stabbed to death, they're stabbed to death by their son. Yeah. So I hope somebody, that does, like, one of the folks from our community does a deep dive into that, because I think there's probably a gazillion comms and decodes in that, like how he died, when he died, the connections, because don't forget, from what we can gather, right, most of the Hollywood people that we've heard were bad because of their involvement in, the child, the child sexual crimes and adrenochrome. But this is one of, unless you can tell me someone else, because I haven't heard, this is the first Hollywood person that I've heard is tied to, like, the likes of Brenner and Clapper and the film and treason. Like, it's a bigger picture. And yes, he was tied to all that other awful stuff. But
there you go. Maybe that's time to start putting those narratives into the movie for the normies then.
That's what I'm saying. I think this was a pivotal point, if you ask me.
People are going to ask, why did their son stab them to death? Whether it happened or not, that is the official narrative out there. So they're going to ask why. Then they might find out about he's not the man he said he was. He was a Trump hater. Why was he a Trump hater so much? Because he was nefarious and into children, allegedly, and these sorts of things, and maybe abused his son, which is why his son did what he did. And then if they start looking into that, they'll be going, well, the crazies have been telling me about these things, and they've been telling me about other people.
Yes. And I do think one of the reasons, out of anyone they could have picked to be sort of a focal point, is because we don't yet officially know what his full involvement was.
Because it says
Clapper and Brennan and that whole group of bad actors.
Yeah, it says in the Q drops, doesn't it? A lot of people obviously put that to Rob Rosenstein.
Yes.
It's like that. But does it double meanings exist? Ian's even put Wendy, has put in there. RR is 18, isn't it? Which is 17 plus, Q plus, but also it's like 18 is meant to be RFK Jr., isn't it? Because of that R post we saw put out a long time ago.
Yes.
Do you guys know about that, Wendy, Ian and stuff, the R post? If you don't, I'll put it up on the screen.
Yeah, I think there's so much more to this Reiner thing. And you just said it so beautifully about how everyone right now, right? Like, I was at a meeting this morning, and the conversation was, oh my God, how could a son do that? Right? I mean, that's your knee jerk, right? A child killing their parents. But you just said it perfectly, because what if we find out that this son has a bigger story to tell, and he's not just a, quote, murderer? You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Just keep talking. Oh, there it is. I'm just going to put this up for Ian. I think Wednesday's seen this, but this is really interesting. And I want to ask Jason about this as well.
Okay. I have an interesting post. I think you probably had it on your channel. I don't even remember where somebody posted it. Okay, so I'm just going to read it. This is about the Rob Reiner situation. Okay.
Well, you do that first.
Yes, I'll just read this. Then it says, there will be no rest in peace on this channel. This is for the snowflakes. Rob Reiner was a fat, smug Hollywood parasite who lectured America on morality while his drug-addicted son Nick festered in the streets like trash. The same worthless spawn ended up butchering him and his wife in their own bed, proving blood doesn't lie when it comes to raising monsters. Reiner virtue signaled about saving children with his bullshit Proposition 10 cash grab, yet he funneled millions into shady nonprofits that trafficked vulnerable kids straight to elite pedophile parties. This hypocritical pig built his saintly image on the raped futures of foster youth he pretended to care about. He knew casting predator Brian Peck was ass-raping teenage boys on sets tied to his projects, but Reiner buried the reports and paid hush money to keep the filth flowing. This gutless coward chose movie profits over stopping a child molester who went on to destroy more innocent lives. Reiner hosted, quote, mentorship sessions in his mansions where desperate runaways got groomed and passed around like meat to his sick industry friends. This perverted enabler jerked off his ego while watching vulnerable teens get broken for Hollywood's endless hunger. He screamed about Trump being evil every day on Twitter, poisoning millions with his deranged hate, all while his own family rotted from addiction and rage. This unhinged lunatic projected his inner demons onto half the country because he couldn't face his own failures. Reiner shielded convicted pedophiles by staying silent and aligning with their defenders, trading children's screams for career favors and green lights. This vile traitor sold out every abused kid in the industry just to keep his Castle Rock throne warm. Castle Rock. We'll get back to that. He exploited his son's heroin hell for a pathetic movie called Being Charlie, milking family agony for awards, season tears, without ever fixing the rot. This narcissistic ghoul turned his child's destruction into box office bait like the soulless vampire he was. Do you need me to keep going? Reiner diverted childhood welfare funds to trafficking fronts run by his cronies, ignoring every warning because exposing it would tarnish his fake hero glow. This greedy bastard sacrificed dozens of at-risk kids at the altar of his bloated public image. He backed Me Too loudly while covering for directors who raped underage extras on sets he controlled or profited from. This two-faced rapist apologist picked adult predators over bleeding children every single time. He attended elite parties where minors got drugged and assaulted for the amusement of Hollywood's elite, logging in but pretending he saw nothing. This complicit swine bathed in the blood of innocence to stay invited to the table. He protected industry child rapists decade after decade, ensuring the machine kept grinding fresh meat into trauma and graves. This evil gatekeeper has rivers of young blood on his hands, and no amount of philanthropy could wash off. In death, Rob Reiner finally shuts his lying mouth, but his corpse still reeks of the hypocrisy and evil that defined his worthless life. This dead pedophile enabler got exactly what his rotted soul deserved, slaughtered by the monster he created. Now, I don't know where that originated from, and I will try to find out because one of my admins posted it. But
just allegedly,
yeah. Of course.
Where was that posted? Telegram? Because I have seen
that was posted in my Awakened Patriots of Long Island by my admin, Billy.
Oh, right. And there's no source for that?
No. So I'm gonna ask him. I'm gonna send him a note and just say, where did you find this from?
Maybe it was on. I mean, anyone can write shit like that, you know. So, and I always look for a source before I put stuff out.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, a lot of people are saying things like that. Let's just show this post quickly because Ian was there. This post came on the cue board on the you Americans have your dates around the wrong way, don't you? 24th of the 6th, 2018. And it was a picture of JFK Jr. and Trump. In 1909, we lost everything. My father caught on, first to the Bilderbergs, then he caught on to NASA. He demanded to know who the Greys were and why they were here. They killed him. I strategically staged my own death. I lied with the one person in this world whom I knew was honourable enough to trust, and we began to build the plan. Penance is coming. Regardless of what you think, you are not yet awake. You do not know how deep this goes. If you knew, you could not sleep. Many of you could never go on. You need each other. You need every one of you. Learn to play nice with each other or be left behind. If one stumbles, pick them up. If one asks a question, give them the answer. That is how we grow. There is no room in the plan for arrogance and self-importance. If you turn one away, you hurt the plan. If you hurt the plan, you'll be left behind. We are watching. We see it all. There are no secrets. You would never believe the files kept on every one of you. For that matter, you'd never believe where they are kept. prepare for the next phase, prepare each other. You are one, and where we go one, we go all. Now, we've seen all the Q posts, but that was signed by R, which is why a lot of people discuss the fact that we have Q, Trump potentially being Q plus, and JFK Jr. being R. But then there's other discussions, and I heard something the other day, was there's still people that believe that JFK, whether that was a clone in his place in that car in 63 and all these sorts of things, it's actually JFK Senior that is Q, right? Which would make, you're muted by the way, which would make the fact that if JFK was Q, Trump is Q plus, and R signed there at 18.
18.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. Would be JFK Jr., which because JFK Jr. can't really be Q and 18, can he?
No. That makes a lot of
You
sense.
know, we've seen those photos, haven't we, of that old guy that Trump hugs, you know, the military man, that people say is JFK and stuff. And then there's other people say, no, we've looked into it, that's not right, and all these sorts of things. But we just don't know, do we?
No.
But we keep our eyes on.
We don't. And so I think it was Wendy posted Rob Reiner bashed Trump and also brought out a short film about caring for children under 3. I didn't know. See, I didn't know. I just know his blockbuster. But here's the thing that I was saying about Castle Rock. Castle Rock has been in the the forefront of all this. So that tells me, right, because that was Rob Reiner's studio or whatever, or partially he's owned it. Someone can fact check me on that. But interesting how they took that over a long time ago.
Yeah, that was interesting when we heard that the other day, being in the Q drop so much.
And so you have to wonder how, like, now was the time, just like the Queen, right? We know what happened with the Queen, but it was years later that she died, like same thing with the Pope. So was this man allegedly taken down a long time ago? And then, like I said, we still don't know where the tentacles lead from where he was and who was attached. Like we could see Clapper and, Brennan, but it makes you wonder, why are they using Castle Rock of all places? When did they take that over?
Well, there you go. Almost as if something out of the blue happens, and then the people that use the 48 to 72 hour rule, and a little bit less than that, and a lot longer than that, we've known on sometimes. It's been like 2 years later in some of these cases that I've gone, oh, that's what that meant, right? Is the fact that all these clues start coming out. And as soon as I heard Castle Rock, I was like, oh, yeah, there we go again.
Yeah.
No such thing as coincidence, Elisa.
No, there isn't. And like I said, like we pride ourselves, right, on recognizing patterns, but we're always learning every single day, right? I mean, it's the same thing. We're learning on a different level and we're looking at it differently, but the normies are learning, say here, and we're learning here. But, who were you, when they were saying Castle Rock, were you thinking of Rob Reiner? I know I wasn't.
No, me neither. Me neither. I'm sure people have dug on that in the past. Hold on, I'm just trying to do something here. Because I'll put RR into the Q drops and you get words like corruption come up and all sorts of things. But there is, in the Q drops, RR in the kill brackets, which we did think, Rob Rosenstein, but it might be, it's certainly worth going in. There's 78 different posts.
Wow.
In the Q drops with RR in the kill brackets. So, multiple meanings exist.
Wait, how many?
78.
78. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I think that case, because I just heard that he hired an attorney There's an attorney working now with Nick Reiner. So that should be interesting to follow that, to see what happens and what comes out, right?
Certainly, it's
And
interesting.
he pled not. Did he? I think he pled not guilty.
Yeah, you might be right there.
He pled not guilty, so that's even more interesting, right?
It was funny how many of these people are pleading not guilty, isn't it? Charlie Kirk's assassin, that guy that killed the business executive, Mario, was it? Someone that also had a picture of him in McDonald's waiting for the police to turn up.
Yeah.
It's weird. You know, we can talk about Bondi Beach. I was watching Jason yesterday and he showed a video from YouTube about, I think it was Static in the Attic, something like that was the YouTube channel. And they were going into all the discrepancies in the Bondi shooting and angles and all these sorts of things. And it's just so many things are being staged, whether they're using real events to stage things amongst them. You know, you could quite easily use a beach full of holiday goers to stage something, you know, to get all the people to run away,
right?
All these sorts of things. This is what they do. They're vile.
Well,
you know,
that post has been floating around about the guy, you know, who was, you see him getting made up, the one who got shot, and he's all bloody.
That was a different date, wasn't it? That was another, what's it called? What do they always have before a false flag? A drill, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Some sort of play acting drill. I can't think what to call of it.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. But then they were saying, like, who takes a selfie after they're shot, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And then you people digging into that, you know, if you've got a bullet in the head, you're going to have a lot, you know, unless it nicks you like that. You've got the bandage on his head is like completely white. All the blood, there's no blood in the bandage.
It's all over his face, like, yeah,
but it's all completely dry.
Yes.
It's like it takes a long time for that much blood to dry, right? Especially
100%.
to not seep into a bandage. So what did he wait for an hour to get bandaged up? Or did he have a bandage on? Did they put a brand new bandage on and then take that picture? But he's got a massive big blood spatter here on his shirt when he's sitting down taking that photo, and it's completely different on his shirt. You know, there's so many things out there.
So we have, let's take a look at this. So we have Dan Bongino is going to be leaving, right?
Yeah.
And I saw Trump made a comment, very friendly, if you will, saying, yeah, I think he just wants to get back to his show. A very like innocuous kind of a statement. And then we've got Bondi, who I'm not quite sure, like, have you seen any deep dives yet on the Bondi situation, the connection to Bondi Beach, if there is one? Like, have you seen any decodes on that?
Yeah, I've heard people talking about it, but not really in depth. No. You wait for the shows to come up. Abs and Storm will have a show. Jason's obviously digging into it. Matrix Code Breaker. But yeah, I just, you know, it's after a big event that, you know, Abs and Stormy, well, after Charlie Kirk got shot, they didn't talk about it for a week after. They compiled their information, and then they did a show which was about 5 hours long, but 3 hours of that was just on the Charlie Kirk shooting, and it was immense. And it wasn't, you know, all the bullet angles and stuff like that. It was the comms and the drops and the codes and what was coming out on Fox News and all.
And the history too, right? They got into some of the history too, right? About, yeah. Wow. This is so, some of it's so fascinating.
I mean, the fact that happened on Bondi Beach, there's loads of stuff going on with Pam Bondi. What
are the chances, again?
That's got to be coincidence.
Yeah, of course. Of course. Yeah. So what, somebody mentioned to me at my my networking breakfast this morning.
Did you see just going back to Rob Weiner, you saw the post Trump put out?
Yeah.
About him.
The one about him having Trump derangement syndrome?
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
then, Trump's getting a lot of kickback for that.
Yeah.
But then, Trump's put out other stuff, hasn't he? I don't see the point of being politically correct. That would just mean you're incorrect, sorts of things and stuff like that.
Right. But here's the thing that I like to say about that my first knee jerk. When someone dies so allegedly tragically, you usually just say, if you say anything, right? My thoughts and, prayers are with the family, right? What a tragic way to go, right? That usually under those circumstances, that's what you say, no matter what you think about the person, right? Like, for example, crazy example, but I'll give it. Years ago, remember when Trump had that whole, I don't know if you remember, he had that whole argument or, going back and forth with Rosie O'Donnell, and a lot of it was taking place on the Sean Hannity show.
Yeah.
And it was pretty brutal. He was pretty brutal. Cut to whatever it was, 5 years, 10 years later, Rosie O'Donnell has a heart attack. He calls her supposedly and tells her just get better. There was no like vitriol. There was no like getting the last comment in. Do you know what I mean? It was just like, get better. So I would say if you look at the Reiner thing, if something like that happened, usually you would just make a comment. Thoughts and prayers. But he went as far as to say something nasty, which tells me he's letting everyone know this is not what you think.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe there's a different way you talk to people that have just got serious Trump derangement syndrome or are savage pedophiles. Allegedly.
Exactly. Because he wasn't just a Trump derangement. He's, what we can tell allegedly is he could have been involved in treason as well.
Yeah.
Not just the other nefarious stuff that was going on.
Well, you saw that 20-minute video that came out with him sitting there with Brennan and...
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
What is the Hollywood what is the Hollywood director doing with those people? Like, what is your involvement? What is your connection?
Because they're all in the same club.
Yeah, I know that, but I'm saying,
power, it's funny how they pick these people to do these things.
Right.
I mean, even Obama giving out his medals and stuff, and it is just the Hall of Fame of people that we think are not very good people.
Yeah,
potentially. The clues are there, aren't they? You're looking at the chat, are you?
Yeah, I was just taking a look at everyone. Thanks for joining us today, everybody, and thanks for all your comments.
Yeah, I'll just say this because Jason does a Zoom every Saturday and in the evening, and me and Elisa jumped in there last week. It's at 7 o'clock UK time, 2 p.m. Eastern, and Elisa could only stay for about half an hour, but I stayed in there for 4.5 hours, I think.
Well, I ended up staying an hour.
Oh, you were an hour?
Yeah, it was fat. Yeah. It was so much fun.
Yeah, and I was in there 4.5 hours, and there was so many people in there. Kate, Wendy, Miss B, Scott, Brett, LeBron in the chat. I don't know his name, but I think the guy that was doing the stuff in planes, was his name Bruce, Kurt, and C. Charville and stuff. And it was just... the people in there are full of love, full of awareness, wanting to get the truth out. Truthers, We Not Me family, Patriots Across The Pond family. And it was amazing. And I loved it. Just seeing some people's faces, not Wendy's. She was washing up. Could hear the washing up. Couldn't see her face. But, James Bone. That's it, James.
Thanks.
And it was so good. Elisa and I, on Saturday this week, just for a one-off, see how we get on. If anyone wants to join, we're going to do a StreamYard at 3 o'clock GMT UK, 10 a.m. Eastern, right? And we just go on for a couple of hours, StreamYards on my paid account. We can get up to 10 people on there. So it'll be me and Lisa and 8 other people. If anyone wants to come and join us for a little chat on Saturday afternoon, let us know. I shall put a StreamYard link into a couple of groups. We Not Me chat, my Telegram, Lisa's Telegram maybe, and you know, whatever. And we'll just see if anyone comes in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're gonna try
because
it, right?
it's interesting. You know, as long as it doesn't clash with anything Jason's doing, because I don't think Jason does anything on a Saturday morning his end. I know he does his Zoom later on in the day Saturday, so I thought that would be good if anyone wants to come and say hello and get your boat out, Wendy.
So let me just ask you a quick question. Where do you think Sidney Powell fits into all this?
I think she is potentially going to be coming in as the Attorney General. Now, who is the Attorney General at the moment? Pam Bondi?
Yes.
Because I think Sidney Powell is a military lawyer, JAG, and can oversee all these military tribunals. Sidney Powell is just another one of these people that's waiting in the background. Yeah. She came out, she played her part, she said all those things about the Wiener laptop, and you know, we've heard Charlie Ward saying there was reports of her turning up at Gitmo in full dress fatigues. We think these things have been going on for years, and the energy I get from Sidney Powell is that I want her fighting on my team at present.
Oh, she's a badass. And she was also, you know, if anybody remembers, she was General Flynn's attorney.
Yeah, well, in the early days,
yeah,
when I used to try and listen and watch everything, I sat through that, listening to it live, and a few others did, of my friends, that court case, and it was only on audio, and they were talking about mandamus and all these things, and I didn't know what the fuck was going on. Do you know what I mean with it?
Yeah.
And you know, that was in the early days where we thought, well, this is going to be done and dusted. Flynn's going to be back and stuff. This is before the 4-year shit show we had to endure with Biden, but we know why we had to endure that.
Yes.
The devolution dash pause, right? Because people will understand why we need to do what we have to do, and they are starting to understand, aren't they?
You know, I would say, I don't know how you feel about this or anybody in the chat feels. The 4-year shit show, I feel like the first year, like it feels everything feels blurry now because we're here, but I feel like it was that first year that was really the toughest to endure, because I think a lot of us as truthers and, you know, awakened, we're so kind of blindsided, you know, before we started to understand everything 100%. And then the next 3 years, quite honestly, I was having fun.
It was hilarious.
Right. First year was a little tough because we were just like, it was not even maybe the first 6 months to 9 months, because we were still learning. We were still figuring out. We were still, you know, it was like when we weren't sleeping, we were just watching and watching and watching and learning. And then I think after that, as things started to get progressively shittier in our world, I felt like we were all able to be very insulated and unscathed by it, you know, even if it affected us with prices and this and that, but we knew what was going on. So when we say the 4-year shit show, I kind of look at it like maybe the almost 1-year shit show and the 3-year movie.
Yeah, definitely. But it wasn't a year for me, and I was sleeping fine. Like I said to you earlier off air, I used to stay up and watch Trump in the early days, and he used to get every presser he used to do, every White House briefing, all these things through COVID and stuff. And then he was coming on later and later and later, and I was getting more tired and tired. And I just thought, fuck this, I'm going to change it all around. So I started going to bed really early, right? Sort of like 7, 8, 9 o'clock, and getting up at 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, you know, and then cracking on. And that was really good for me, because I could, you know, in the early days, I like watching things on catch up anyway now, because I can watch them at 1.5 speed, right, faster. I can do other things, like if I listen to something, you know, talking like that, I can't keep up with it. I have to, well, not listen to it. you know, and listen to it when I know I can speed it up. So I don't sort of do that really much these days.
Yeah.
But yeah, then I started getting up early, and I was putting the information out so that when everyone got up in the morning in the UK, especially, all, you know, my Stuart's News channel on Telegram was loaded. It was ready to go for everyone. You know, I was sort of playing catch up, but sort of preempting everyone else that was in other places, Europe and stuff, and the UK especially. So that they have the information there, and it was lovely. And it, you know, throughout the summer of lockdown, it was beautiful skies, and I was getting up early, doing a few hours news, going out on my bike for 6 hours a day. You know, 4, 5, 6 hours bike ride, beautiful sunshine. Coming home, invigorated to get back on the computer. And in those days, I was tilting my elbow. I was drinking so much wine in lockdown.
You know, it's funny because the lockdown period, well, I didn't really feel locked down because I had bought a house in before all the craziness started. And so I went to closing in February of 2020. And then I went right into literally the next day they showed up at my door and we're in construction and they locked down everything. And, you know, luckily the guys I was using, they didn't really have a truck. You know, they showed up in cars. So they never missed a beat. I think we missed 1 week because they needed to get stuff they couldn't get, you know? So I was out on the road, I was doing my thing and it was quiet. So I didn't feel that impact that everyone talks about being stuck in your house. Like I just didn't feel it. However, I think the COVID BS, the way it affected me, because I have kids, right? So they were in school, you know, the whole, it was different than being just like on my own. I think it would have felt very differently. But because I had kids, I had to see more and be around people or hear the nonsense. And what was so painful for me during that period was listening to people in interactions, like not even participating in conversations, just hearing everybody and the ridiculousness and buying into the narrative and, you know, talking about their masks and wearing their masks and talking about the vaccine. And like, to me, that was just so toxic. So
you were
I couldn't just stay home. You know what I'm saying? Like I had to go drive them to school. Like there was life had to keep going on for me, which I would have loved to have just closed my door and hang out with my dog and my cats and not interact with any human. But that was what was kind of painful. I literally wanted to just scream. And then of course my older daughter was getting ready to go to college. She was applying. And that's when all the vaccine stuff was just ridiculous with the mandates and this and worrying about like, well, how are we going to get around this? And, you know, obviously weren't planning to get her vaccinated, but it just was pressure. You know what I'm saying? It was just like a lot of like, they had us so just preoccupied while all this other stuff was going on, you know? And of course the kids' narratives are different. They're looking at everything like we have to follow this, you know, they're kids, they're getting brainwashed. So that was another hurdle to get over, to unbrainwash them. So
well, I've got to tell you, that was one of the best times of my life. Now, I know there was all this damage hurting around and people, and it was horrible to see. And my mum passing a few years later, and all these things. But lockdown was amazing. I'd already spent over a decade trying to wake people up. I thought, this is it now. This is going to happen, right? I'd already taken my scars. I'd already, you're not allowed to do this, you're not allowed to do that, and laughed at, joked at, all these things. And I didn't give a fuck, right? I was not allowed to go to work. Beautiful. I was getting furloughed by the government for not going to work. There was not a cloud in the sky. It was beautiful sunshine. I was going out on my bike, like I say, for 4, 5, 6 hours every day on my own, off-road most of the time. So I was out in the country talking to birds and horses and whatever wildlife
and
I could
sheep.
see. Yeah. Well, you haven't seen my sheep whistling videos, have you? I've shown you a couple.
I've seen them. Yeah, I don't think everyone else has seen them. They are the best.
I'll show one in a minute, shall I? But yeah, it was just
Yeah.
And on top of that, because I tried so hard to wake so many people up, the fact that we were in the meme wars and people were making all these memes and we had all these stuff going on, it was only the first 6 months of lockdown, really, right after Joe Biden, no, sorry, in the Biden years as well, that we were a bit deflated. Well, not even 6 months, because then we started hearing about things and looking into things more. Then Devolution came out. John Errol wrote his first article July the 2nd, 2021.
Yeah.
And he was obviously discussing it before that and things, and it reinvigorated us. So whilst we're digging in again, learning more and more and more, we're having a fucking scream. Do you know what I mean? I've got videos. I've got so many videos of people walking about in supermarkets with snorkels on and things like that, and fish bowls on their heads and in bubbles and stuff.
Ridiculous knuckleheads.
You know, plexiglass in swimming pools for water aerobics and all this other absolute nonsense. I was having such a laugh. And don't forget, in those days as well, I had so many people on board. Where we go, when we go on, all this sorts of stuff. But people have had to drift back to their lives and get on with things. Do you know what I mean? They're not as well, not so dedicated as I am, but they've got families, whereas I'm on my own. You know, and that was what helped me in a lot. Lockdown a lot, because I was on my own, and we had WhatsApp calling, so I could talk to anyone I liked.
Yeah, I would say, like, now thinking back, it was right after the election. Well, during that period of time, November, right? 2020? It was probably a few days. I'm going to say a few days, maybe a day after the election, that just felt like a shocker for a while, trying to make sense. And then a lot of videos were starting to come out, Robert David Steele, like all these things telling us, guys, the movie's, this is not what you think it is. And so you got reinvigorated. But there was so much frustration for me, just like 3D, 5D, 3D, just being with these idiot normies. I was perfectly satisfied. Like, I couldn't understand friends who were like, well, we want to be able to go out. Why? Why do you want to go to a restaurant that doesn't really want you unless you comply to these ridiculous, invasive medical rape rules?
Yeah.
So that's where the divide came, where it was like, if I didn't have my online community and all the like watching 24/7 stuff, like I would have not had anyone. You know what I'm saying? Like,
exactly. Well, I did have me and the sheep. Turn your volume up, people. This is what I was doing in lockdown.
This is great. You're going to enjoy. You're going to love this.
This is the first one I did. I've done about 8 or 9, I think. But this is in late 2020, summer 21. I did a couple, I think.
You know Epstein didn't kill himself, don't you? How'd you knock over 3 buildings with 2 planes? Name 4 ingredients in the vaccination. You know that's not the real Biden, don't you? No. They're not interested.
I love it.
Yeah, I've done a few more of those. I'll get there at some stage.
You should release all them under a walk down memory lane.
Oh, we are going to be walking down memory lane for years, I'll tell you.
Yeah. I would say, personally speaking, and I don't know if I've told this story before, because it just like indelibly just left a mark on me. I think I was getting insurance. I don't remember what it was, but I had to go to the doctor and I had to get like a checkup. And I walked in, and of course, everywhere you went, there were masks and plastic and this and that. And I walk into the office, and I'm sitting in the office, and she comes in with covered with yellow a yellow tissue paper, like a jacket, and it was all tissue paper, and down to her legs, and she was like kind of a short doctor. And then she had the mask. She had 2 masks on, and then the thing that came over the head, you know, the visor, the plastic visor. And she comes at me with the stethoscope, and I was sort of thinking to myself, I'm in the Twilight Zone. What the frig is going on here? These people are crazy, and these are the people that are telling us what we need to do medically. That to me I will never, you know. And then of course you saw all these things on the memes and stuff, but to actually see that in front of me, to somebody that is supposed to be an authority figure on medical wellness. And I think that was the last time I ever walked into like a doctor's office for anything, except when I broke my finger last summer. But yeah.
Oh no. Three little pictures here.
Oh my God. And what about the people that wore them in the car? They were all alone in their cars wearing a mask. Oh my God. Yeah.
I mean, it was savage, wasn't it? We could do a whole show talking about this. We could do a whole series of shows reminiscing and all that. Don't forget, I've saved so much stuff.
Yeah.
Right? It's gonna take me as long as this cure operation to fucking go through it all. But I'm gonna have loads of time, you know?
Yeah.
Just to it out and put it into all different albums and stuff, which I've started doing the last year or two. It's so much better now on titling things. But if we've got some sort of superb AI that's benevolent that we can all use, I'll just stick everything in there. Go sort that out.
You could do that now. I bet you would kick out like almost like a book. Or
well, the thing is, what I was doing is, because I was most active on Twitter probably in those days, that I would do my Stu's News going through my Twitter feed when I was just sitting on my own, and this is what's happened this week and talking about this and that and everything. And then we all got shut down, had to move to Telegram, and then I started you could download your Telegram archives, and I was doing that once every week or 2 weeks or something like that. But that was taking up so much room. So what I do now is just every time I post a video, I put it in a little file, then I put it onto a hard drive later when I've got 100 videos or something, to put it onto a hard drive. So I've got thousands and thousands. Pretty much everything I've posted, I've got saved somewhere.
Wow, that is amazing.
You know, but yeah, you know, I want to reminisce about those times a lot, because that is the other thing, isn't it? The fact that people have to know what's happened and done it so that we never do it again.
Yeah.
Yeah. You look like you're about to giggle. What are you doing? Where's in the chat?
No, I had seen a video. Did you see the video of I guess this is going on in Europe, where the beggars are on the street and they hand in them condoms, and the beggars would get really freaking out of whack, upset. They put a condom in the begging cup.
No. Oh yeah, did I say that? Maybe that was a long time ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, it just kind of came up on my feed. That's very funny.
Yeah. Right.
So what else? What else do we have going on now? Trying to think.
There was some There's 3 new indictments being released. Was that
this week?
No, maybe actually. I think people were talking about that. I'll tell you what we talk about. Even though Trump put that picture of the Biden with the auto pen up at the White House down the corridor there, they're now putting up loads of new pictures. Have you seen all those? And it's got descriptions of the president.
Oh my God, I was reading them this morning. Clinton's, the last sentence on it says his wife Hillary Clinton lost the presidential election to Donald Trump in 2016, and then Obama's said, I can't remember the one that was under his. It's hysterical.
Yeah, I posted that earlier.
So listen to this. When I was in my meeting this morning, someone who really hates Trump was there and saying something about, did you see the pictures when you go to the White House and they have those pictures up? So someone else in the group says, yeah, Trump has a really good sense of humor. And that was like, I was getting to the point of trying to find a knife on the table to just stab myself.
Yeah. Ian, save that film, Head of the Snake. You can send that to me. I'm not sure if I've seen it or not. Yeah, there was Donald Trump personally wrote many of the plaques hung up below the portraits in the newly installed Presidential Walk of Fame in the White House. 2 plaques summarising Trump's time in office. The first one boasting we built the US military and created the greatest economy in the history of the world. The second term brags about tariffs, hard-line immigration, banning transgender insanity from the schools, and renaming the Gulf of Mexico America, while hinting the best is yet to come. The plaque placed under the portrait of the auto pen, which stands in for Joe Biden's portrait, calls him Sleeping Joe Biden and labels him the worst president in American history. It drags him for severe mental decline, the Biden crime family, and disastrous policies that brought the nation to the brink of destruction. Barack Obama gets pilloried as one of the most divisive figures in American history and blamed for a stagnant economy. Obama's plaque also says he spied on Trump's 2016 presidential campaign and says he presided over the creation of the Russia hoax and the worst political scandal in American history. Yeah, and Bill Clinton's plaque, can't resist a parting shot, remaining everyone that Trump beat Hillary in 2016.
It's such amazing trolling. So I just saw a post I'll share with you, just because going back again to Trump's speech, but interesting little point that was made. It's I don't know if you ever hear of Sarah Hops. She's a lot of times she's on Phil and she puts in questions or poses possibilities, but she just said President Trump is sending checks to all of $1,776, $1,776
Just
to
say
all.
1776. You'll
What?
remember. Just say 1776.
Yeah, I know. I couldn't get that out. Was President Trump talking in code and sending a mission to all military?
Yeah,
And
I
then,
think green for go, probably.
absolutely.
That's, and apparently that went to 1,450,000 servicemen. That's 1776.
Did it? Does that add up to anything interesting or no?
Oh no.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
Huh. Yeah, I think like everyone, and a couple of people said in the chat too, let's wait like 4 days. And I think a lot more things will reveal itself in that speech he gave last night.
Laura Eberly posted, yesterday Trump announced every year a soldier will receive 1776. He was sending a message, by Christmas 1776, the revolution was collapsing, the army was unpaid, freezing and deserting, and enlistments were expiring. Congress had fled and many believed the cause was lost. It was then that George Washington, against overwhelming odds, made a final gamble. On Christmas night, he led his exhausted men across the ice-choked Delaware River and launched a surprise attack at Trenton the following morning. It wasn't a grand victory, but it was enough to revive belief and keep the revolution alive. So when Trump invokes 1776 and does so at Christmas, he's pointing to the moment when perseverance, not power, saved the republic. He's reminding us that nations are reborn when they refuse to surrender. That's the hardest moment to precede the turning point, and that endurance, not comfort, is what saves a republic. He's telling us to hold the line.
Yeah, and don't forget, he had a picture of President Washington behind him.
Exactly, between 2 Christmas trees.
Yes,
he was as well.
Yeah.
Nothing is random. Everything has meaning.
So, what do you think the chances are that this is the best Christmas?
Well, I don't want it to be next Christmas.
I know.
So I'm saying yes, please.
Yes.
Bring it on.
Yeah.
We've never been in the last 3 or 4 Christmases. I thought, is this it? I can't actually remember when he said that you can have a good Christmas.
I think it was like it was like 4 years ago.
Yeah. So I've been
4
waiting
years.
3 or 4 years for Christmas, and Christmas has come and gone. And I thought, well, that wasn't it. You know, well, look, we've never been in a position like this. The National Guard is everywhere. It's staged. The public are primed. The comms are coming in. He's giving out these military codes and signals, we believe.
Yeah. No, we like to sometimes have fun. You know, I'm gonna see if I could send this to you to put up. I think it's kind of cute. It was on Telegram. I'll have to try to figure out a way to send it to you. So what else do we have?
What is it in Telegram?
Yeah.
Well, just send it to me on Telegram. I've got
That's
the
what I'm
Telegram.
doing. Yeah.
Or you put it in our Patriots and Piss Take chat.
I'm just trying to figure out a way here for me to forward this. Okay, I'll do it. I'll take care of it. It's really, I thought it was kind of cute.
Yeah.
But it like
cut the little videos in there anyway.
Yeah, this is just a like a little cute little meme kind of a thing. It's just it kind of, I think it says a lot. It's in our friend Chuck's feed.
Let me put this up to 170 and we can have a little go through a couple of these videos I've got in here. I've just zoomed it in, so I'm just restarting that. Now. Right, what do we want? Just get rid of those emojis. There we go.
I'll put it in the piss take.
Yeah, we'll go on the bottom. There's a couple of videos there that we're only putting a few videos in here, but we'll play a few of these and we can Patriots and piss takes. So all they are is Patriots saying a little thing, and you know, we don't want to post loads of news articles in here and stuff like that. We've all seen it. We just want to spitball about things and have a giggle and discuss. You know, so this is a few weeks old, this video. I posted it a while ago, maybe a month or two, but it's pretty sad. Hold up, I'm going to take that off 1.7 speed first.
Is it just me, or are people dropping like flies ever since 2020? It's almost as if something's happened to their fucking immune systems. My old dear's just messaged me to tell me my stepdad's being diagnosed with prostate cancer. It looks like it's spread all around his body. He's 11 years younger than her. He's only in his 50s. They've done 22 biopsies. Do you really think you can stick a needle into a tumour and pull it out through the surrounding tissue without encouraging it to spread? Because I fucking don't. Can't. My gran went about 2 weeks after her third. Something happened to her bowels that don't even really know. Starvation was the main cause on her death certificate. What a fucking way to go in this day and age. My granddad went 3 months after his third one, after being diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. Fucking aggressive. I stayed with him as he went. Absolutely brutal. My old man's mate down the boozer, lung cancer. Off he popped about 2 weeks after his second one as well. Fucking aggressive form of cancer. See you later, mate. Good luck. God bless. The landlord of my old man's boozer had a heart attack and dropped down dead on the floor in the middle of the fucking pub. Everyone said, oh, it weren't that. He was fucked already, wasn't he? There's at least 3 or 4 other members of my wider family who've gone within 3 or 4 months of diagnosis of the big C. My cousin's snotting out blood and his sinuses are fucked, and he reckons that started coming on after his third one. Friends' mums, friends' dads, friends' grandparents, it's all I'm fucking hearing. I'd not long finished studying drug design and development as part of my applied medical sciences degree at UCL at the time, and I remember thinking, I swear it takes 20 years to develop a drug. There's got to be something wrong. So I got straight onto the clinical trial reports, AstraZeneca and Pfizer, downloaded the PDFs, read them from cover to cover, and I realised this is a load of bollocks. I sent it to all my close family and friends and said, watch out, this is fucking shite. None of them even fucking opened the message, let alone took notice of it. The only people that did were my dad, my sister, and my brother-in-law. Lo and behold, us 4 are healthy as a horse. Ain't had so much as a fucking sniffle ever since them lot started getting on it. It breaks me fucking heart. As much as I mentally prepared myself for this shit over the last 5 years, it's still absolutely brutal to watch me fucking mum, stepdad, close family and friends fucking leave prematurely because they fucking fell for it.
True. Very true. You know.
But you do know my theory anyway, so
yeah, that is now. You know, I don't. We've said all along that potentially warp speeds and all these things and the military behind it, but they couldn't stop it all, right? And if you've got 10% of shit going out and 90% of good going out, 10% of 8 billion
Yes.
is 800 million, isn't it? That is a lot of people around the world. And we all know people that have died, are suffering, having issues. You know, I get a lot of private messages. You know, I've got 700 people on my new Facebook, and there's a lot of people in there who are having issues. There's a lot of people there that haven't got a clue. And
Yeah.
no, I got told in a private message that everyone was laughing at me the other day. And that just makes me laugh, right? Because this person is still working in the system and stuff like that. And I put so much evidence and stuff like that, and I just won't look at it. But that's you can't do any more than that.
You can't.
Like your little rant you had the other day with me, you and Jason. It was amazing. I've watched that so many times. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's frustrating that the fact you can't get people to watch stuff. You can't do it. You know?
Yeah.
No.
Well, I mean, listen, it's very frustrating for all of us, but this all had to happen. And I wouldn't be surprised. Like we said, we don't really know how much actually got out, right? So this could all be very legitimate.
I do agree with you now that if the White Hats are in control of most of this, pretty much everything that's going out now, hopefully, is, saline or something like that.
Yeah.
But going through the war of the COVID and lockdown and all that sort of stuff, I think potentially a lot got through. And if it did, we are seeing it. Whether it's from that or, like you say, people have been vaccinated 15, 20 years ago for other things, or whether it's
ongoing with flu. Like it wasn't even 15, 20 years ago. It's like every year taking a flu shot. Every year, so could have been the year before COVID.
Whether there was some 5G, I don't even know the existence of 5G, 6G, all this chats and things like that, and whether that was fired up, because I had some really weird experiences. Twice my body started vibrating, and that's why I started buying Orgonite to put on and things like that.
Yeah.
Because I just thought they're firing up the 5G, but then we saw all these people, all these workmen putting these things into towers and all that. They're making videos. What's this? It's got 5G COVID on it, and they're putting it in the towers. But I think potentially that was the White Hats putting this stuff in towers so it couldn't go up to 60 gigahertz to frazzle anyone else, and maybe it was activated a bit. Maybe they used it to generate this virus or this disease in people's bodies. I don't know, but it's something that we've looked at, and we look at everything, don't we?
I mean, what if it even doesn't have to do with the jab per se? And what if it's just all, like you said, it's all the frequencies?
Yeah.
Before they switched a lot of this stuff that did the
damage. It's like 100 years ago. You've seen these videos over history when they go from 2G to 3G, 3G to 4G, and then they switch frequencies and they start broadcasting through television channels or put up telephone systems, communication systems. There tends to be some sort of illness at the same time in history, so it could well be something to do with that.
Yeah, it could very well be something else. Again, look over here when it's over here.
You can't. What we can't deny, we're talking about long term and things like this, and people being ill. What you cannot deny is the people that are falling over dead, right, on the day or within 2 days of being jabbed. And you don't think every video and every report and every VAERS thing you've heard from around the planet is a white hat operation to wake people up. I don't see that. Right. I believe we were in a serious time then, and the White Hats and Trump had no choice. Maybe he had no choice to, walk away with this devolution thing, and maybe the military has been in control of stuff, and Trump was just a front man, and because don't forget, when Trump walked away, he never stopped. Biden might have been down the beach for 4 hours a week. you know, and then sleeping most of the time. But Trump was doing rallies and things and meetings, and so that 4 years he was never inactive.
Right.
Trump.
Right. Yeah. I guess hopefully maybe we will find out, but I don't think we're gonna really find out why so many people are getting these turbo cancers. And listen, is it really turbo cancer, or they just have it again pushing it into the forefront? Because for years people get cancer and they're dead in 3 months. You know what I'm trying to say? So it's or is it just that they're trying to make people realize what they're doing to us, or what's happening, or, you know, that these things that people have been told are good to do, like statins. You know, people are being put on statins, and it still hasn't really come out how bad they are. Yeah, we know. So it might just be now the focus is on cancer, right? Because they're trying to let people know that the biopsies, you know, just speed up the cancer, that putting all this shit in your body and vaccines aren't doing anything for you. Like, it might just be that this is how they have to, you know, slowly wake people up about it. And so I personally think, though I have no facts about how much got out, whether it got out, if it got out, right? You know, it makes sense that they probably couldn't stop everything. I don't know. Depends how long the operation was. If we are claiming that the military operation was going on for decades, there's a really good chance that if they kind of came in during the Obama administration, right, and were sort of in control, if you will, on the inside, not necessarily on the outside, it would make sense that they kind of knew what the plan was and were able to eradicate it. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. However, wouldn't this COVID vaccine thing being a really good way to package how detrimental and dangerous everything has been for us, you know, because it's like, again, it's like a character in a movie. You know, the COVID vaccine is another character.
Yeah, exactly. Eyes on. You know, that's another thing. You bring out cancer truth, people are going to go mad, right? Because of how many people they've watched die. I know so many people that have lost dads, mums, you know, family members, brothers, sisters from cancer. If you tell people like that we've been able to cure cancer for 100 years, they're not going to be happy.
And that it's been caused. That it's been caused. Not that we can only cure it, but it's been caused.
Yeah.
There's a bigger question. Plus,
on purpose. And the
on
other thing
purpose.
as well, you've got to remember that 9 out of 10 people, you've only got to say the words to them, you've got cancer, and immediately the brain is a powerful tool.
Yeah.
They start going downhill, right? They think themselves into being ill.
Yeah.
Whereas if anyone told me,
my dad's a prime example.
Yeah, if anyone told me you've got cancer, I'll go, thanks very much for the diagnosis. I would be on it then. All sorts of protocols, all sorts of stuff. I would, you know.
But
farms,
then again,
you know, alkaline, apricot seeds, you know, so many ivermectin, fenbendazole. This is what I would do personally.
Yes,
know?
but don't forget, the people in our community understand that, so we are proactive. So there's a very good chance we are not ever going to get that diagnosis because of the fact that we understand, like getting rid of parasites and all these other things that we do. And the other thing is, like, think of the pillars. You've got the cancer pillar, you've got the stroke, you've got the Alzheimer's pillar, you've got the diabetes. Like, you know, I would say sort of those are the 4 major pillars of what, you know, okay, then there's autoimmune disease and all this other shit. But if they started to say that the medications and the things they're giving you are the cause of what you have, like the vaccines could potentially have like long-term effects with cancer, you know, the statin drugs, what are they doing, like with cholesterol, right? People would And then you consider that they all know or have been victim to those things. But then think about the other side. What the hell are people still collecting money for cancer research?
Yeah, you know, running.
Where's that money going?
Yeah, but there's so many people that are running fun runs and doing all these things and charity events to do that. But let me just say something. I just thought then. We have talked about that Q drop, the fact that it could be religion, it could be the child trafficking. But what if that Q drop is about all this? Because that makes perfect sense. The truth would put 99% of people in the hospital. It's the drugs and the food and the air and the water and what they've been doing to us.
Because there's nowhere to hide. Like there's nothing you could, you know, in someone who just realizes this mind. And if they're not aware that this is what's been
but what I mean by that is, you know, it's not the learning the truth, is that the truth is what they've been doing has been putting people in the hospital.
Yes. And if you're not awakened to know what we know, for example, that we believe from what we've researched that a lot of this stuff has been corrected, a lot of this stuff has, you know, we've taken proactive steps. Not only will they be stunned by everything that's been done to them, but they won't understand yet that there are things that have already started to eradicate this. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's even more fear that they're going to feel because they're going to feel like it's still happening. Do you know what I mean? So it could very well be that.
Yeah.
It could very well be that that's the thing. Listen, it's just very simple to say everything you've been taught and everything you've been told, 98% of it is not true. How do you live with that?
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly. Kate put here that pushing the shingles jab too.
Oh, always here.
But that's a really interesting thing because on that COVID Pfizer document we got with the almost 1,300 side effects that were listed on the last 9 pages. On that document, I think there's 11 different types of shingles, right? Which is actually called herpes zoster. Yes. I think you can see it on that Pfizer document. And when everyone started to get these symptoms of shingles from the jab or whatever it was, that's when the mainstream media started pushing the monkeypox scare to cover up for the fact, I believe, that people were getting shingles from the jab or whatever else it was.
Yeah.
They're evil fuckers, I'll tell you.
Oh my God. And you know, one of the comments, parents will never forgive themselves. Like it's hard enough for those of us that are awake now, thinking back to our kids giving birth in a hospital, you know, jabbing our kids with, like, it's hard enough to say, okay, I've had time to process this and understand it. I have to forgive myself. I wasn't awakened. I did this. I did, you know, but if you get it all at once, right?
Yeah.
It's an awful thing. You know what might kill people too? Put them in the hospital when they realize Trump is right. All those Trump derangement syndrome people, right? Realizing that he's been behind the scenes, that he's been working with the military, that he owns all the gold, you know, all this shit that they don't want to know. That might put people in the hospital too.
Well, that's what Bria said, wasn't it? The phoning caller to News Trees and Friday Night Calling Show, when she said it was the 3-act structure of the Q operation. If anyone hasn't seen that, that is an amazing 21 minutes. And
what is it called, Stu?
It's called the 3-act structure of the Q operation. It's 21 minutes. It's been reworked. They've put some Q drops over it. I can find that. It's on Dave's News Treason channel.
Okay.
4-5 months ago, something like that. But I think he might have even done it. Anyway, Bria says in that when the normies find out what's been going on, they're going to be cheering for Trump louder than we are.
Well, yeah, I mean, we know they will, but I'm saying for all those real, that 6% or whatever the hell it is, it's going to give them another reason to have a nervous breakdown and be in the hospital to have to admit that.
Oh yeah, but that's something they're going to have to do.
Screw them. I hate to say, just screw them.
Yeah, but I've been saying that for a long time anyway.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just going to try and find that.
Yeah, that would be great. We could share that. I haven't caught that.
I can even play that if you like, because that is so good.
Yes.
I'd love to watch that again anyway.
We could, if you want, you know, because we'll be coming up on 2 hours. If we play that, that would be a great way to kind of.
Well, no, I've not got much more to talk about on my list and all that. I mean, Bannon said, didn't he, about I know Elon Musk posted about Bannon going back to prison, didn't he? And I just think that's more kayfabe. Let me
just put a little, I don't know if everybody caught our show yesterday. So going forward, we're going to have midweek medals with Matt Geiger, and we got into some really good discussions. And Matt's a really interesting guy, just because of the people that he knows, his experience, his perspective on things. And don't forget to tune in every Wednesday. Starting this coming Wednesday, it's going to be 11 Eastern, and what is that then for you? That's 4, right? 4 o'clock UK time. He had some really fun thoughts about what, some of the direction of some of the shows. So don't forget to tune in on that every Wednesday.
Yeah. Well, I know this audience loves to watch a bit of stuff Jason plays. So should we watch this? This is 21 minutes. And
yeah,
what I say, if you haven't seen this, this is really, really good. Let me make that on full screen.
With Bria. Bria, you are up next.
Hi, how are you guys doing? Can you please hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh,
loud
good.
and clear.
Love that energy.
Wasn't sure my mic was working. So I kind of wanted to build upon what I talked about the last time I called in, which was about the 3-act structure.
Mm-hmm.
And talk a little bit more about what is the description of a 3rd act, because I believe that's what we're in. And there are some things that happen in 3-act structure, or the 3rd act, that
Bria, I'm sorry, not to interrupt, because I remember you. Your call was incredible. Could you really quickly, very quickly, just go through for anybody who didn't hear you last time, what a 3-act structure is?
Okay, so to give people a little bit of background, I have a history of working in Hollywood in the script development arena. So I kind of know how movie structures go. So the first act of a movie is basically the establishing one. And we would probably liken that to be President Trump's first term in the White House. That's where we established his environment. We got an idea of what he had to deal with. We got an idea of who the bad guys were. And then the second act is when Biden won, quote unquote, the election, and Trump, quote unquote, lost. And that's when he went on his solitary hero's journey, which surprised all of us, including the main character. And then Biden, who's what we would consider the antagonist, seemed to win. And during the second act structure, the evil people or the antagonist seems to get bigger and more stronger and more dominant, whereas the hero side seems to have to overcome obstacle. So by the time we get to the 3rd act, that's more of like a beachhead. That's getting to a beachhead of a place where we're rooting for that hero to reach that point. He's now got a position where he can either defeat the enemy totally, or it gives the impression that he has defeated the enemy. And I feel that there is a certain sense of feeling from people that the enemy has been somewhat defeated, and that is actually not how it goes. But so when we get into the third act, as I said in the last time, now the pace starts to quicken. So you're going to start, and Mark, you were even talking about how, oh man, it's one thing after another. Exactly. It's supposed to be a succession of events that happens faster and faster. And your audience doesn't have as much time to process the events like they could before. There wasn't as much time to absorb it. Now it's like one thing. So the object of the third act is to kind of get people through an emotional final ride to the feeling of edge of your seat. So Scott was even like, I'm loving to watch this movie. I'm on the edge of my seat. Exactly. So there's a couple things that happen. The third act goes in a succession because everything that we've been watching all the way through to this point has to be tied in a nice little bow. There are a number of subplots and main plots and setups and payoffs that have to happen. And so we're watching all different types of through lines come to the very end. Okay, so that has to take time. But if the writers do it right, they will get you to the point where you don't notice that it's seemingly, oh my God, it's coming from this direction and this direction and this direction. It all is sort of making sense. It's like a big circular round, and then eventually you get there, but you feel the building of leading up to. So here's one thing I want to tell you. There's an observation that I've made that the White Hats have done on purpose. And that is that they've had audience A, which I believe we call the normies, and audience B, which I would believe us. And the reason why I think that we are annoyed to a certain extent with this movie is because Q gave us kind of the script already. We already have seen the movie in a way. We've already emotionally arrived at many of the places that we are waiting for our friends, colleagues, loved ones, spouses, whatever, to get to. And when you run into people who don't want to hear what you have to say, it's like, have you ever been to the movies with someone that's already seen the movie? Do you want them to tell you how it ends? Do you want them to tell you how the next big event is going to happen? No. You paid for the movie. That's the experience you want to go to. There are people that I know that spend hard-earned cash to go and watch people get chopped up with machetes and you know, those, you know, I don't know, chainsaws, because that's the experience they want to have. So, but here's what I think is very important about that I want to get to. And that is that there's two things. The audience, in order to be able to believe on both sides, on us too, because I think at some point, the writers of this movie are going to bring both audiences together and we're going to be rooting for the same team. But right now we're not. But we have to believe that the enemy has unleashed everything onto his villain or onto his defeat, or, you know, the hero. We know some of the things that the enemy has in his quiver, and they're horrible. The normies are just starting to see that. They have to get to a point through this part of the third act to where that enemy unleashing all he has on the field, because if he doesn't, then it doesn't feel believable when the hero defeats him. And on the other hand, the hero has to defeat him with something that we never really saw coming. But when we think back, oh yeah, that made sense. Oh yeah, he did talk about that. Oh yeah, he did possess that skill, and we kind of blew it off. But it's got to be something that we really are like, wow, that was brilliant. We never really saw that coming. That's the only thing he could have done to defeat the enemy in order for us to believe it. Otherwise, we're like, that's really vapid. So I just think about what we've learned, what we know, what we've heard about what Trump is doing, kind of hinting at, might give us an idea that we're going to be in for one hell of a wild ride, guys. And people have to be willing to understand that if we find out that they are willing to go through what they did to try to kill 8 billion people, what is the climax going to look like where we're nail biting? And here's where I think the change is going to happen when they bring the two audiences together. And that is when the normies finally realize, and I think they've done this on purpose and not doing this and letting them go through what they're going through to reach this, when they finally realize that the people that they have been rooting for and separating their families over and everything are the very people, the evil people that they think are the heroes, and they realize that's actually the enemy, that's when they're going to be really, they're going to be cheering for Trump louder than we are. And that's when we finally, I think, are going to be at the same point. And once that reveal happens, then we're going on the climax ride, folks, because they have to bring everybody together to be cheering. And then you have the resolution. I think the tribunals are part of the resolution. I think GSERA is part of the resolution. I think the IRS being eliminated and we go is part of the resolution. We're getting up to this huge, big thing. And we have to eventually come together as one audience. Because
absolutely.
I also would like to comment on some of the casting choices of this third act. And I have got to tell you, I've got to tell you guys, RFK Jr., let me just picture this. Just picture this. That man, not only is he good looking, not only does he look like he used to be a bodybuilder in a former life and he's got his background, but the thing that's the level of that I saw that I just think is just an excellent casting choice is that voice. Can you imagine the things he is going to tell people, the horrid truths that he is going to be uttering, and that gritty sounding voice? I mean, casting is about a role, it's about resonating, and that voice is going to be saying some of the most horrible shit people are going to hear, and it's coming through a raspy, it's just awesome. It just was like awesome.
Can I just jump here?
Go ahead, Mark, please.
I mean, Bria, absolutely just brilliant, genius, everything you said. I love how you come from Hollywood and you're describing the arc of this story we're watching. It's like Sun Tzu's Art of War meets the Karate Kid. You even described why a lot of our accounts were shadow banned and throttled, because they don't want to spoil the ending of the movie, which was freaking brilliant.
Right.
But here's the part that I was hoping you would bring into the parlance of Hollywood. When you call back to what I said about the pace at which things are coming, you know what stage we're in right now of every one of these movies? We're in the montage. You got to show a passage of time, a montage.
Yeah.
We're in remember the South Park scene? I queued it up.
We're gonna need a montage. A sports training montage.
We're in the montage where all these things happen so fast that they're too fast for the viewer to comprehend them all. So they do a little 3-4 minute montage, and you realize, okay, they just trained. Now they're strong. Now they can box. Now they can do sit-ups hanging from a tree. And now they're ready for the fight. And that's what we're doing, because not everyone, no one can pick up everything that's happening right now. We are literally living through the montage, which means we are headed to, as you said, the climax.
Yes.
Yep. Brilliant. Brilliant.
I now know how I've been so frustrated with my family for 7+ years. I've seen the ending of The Sixth Sense, and they're still walking around going, why does that kid keep saying I see dead people all the time? And I'm like,
right. Here's something else I want you to also think about. Q talked about the sum of all fears. Didn't he say that? He said it's like the sum of all.
Yep.
Well,
Number of times.
But he's also telling you the type of movie you're watching. If you watch that movie is about it's a political thriller. But understand, the main idea of the movie we're watching is what? Q told us what it was. Only at the precipice will the people find the will to change. So that's the whole point of the movie. So every scene is going to go to that movie. So if you watch The Sum of All Fears, whatever the main idea of that is, but it's a movie where you don't know who is the good guy, the bad guy, until what? Till the very sort of ending third act when it all starts to come together. But The Sum of All Fears is also a movie that you also want to see a second time because you end up missing shit. And you want to see why they did that. Q gave us the script for the people who are interested in being the behind the scenes movie people. We want to be the behind the scenes movie people. And quite frankly, shows like Joe Rambo Show and Eye of the Storm and Dave, your posts and everybody's stuff. What are you doing? You're telling everybody, hey, this is how the movie's being made. Even the cute little prop shit with the 17 on the bottom of the inauguration stage. I mean, people in Hollywood do that stuff all the time. They put those little Easter eggs in there for the people who are on the movie or for the people who are in, I mean, constantly, all the time. So, but I got to laugh. I got to laugh about Pete Hegseth and Kristi Noem. Go and look what Kristi Noem looked like in 2018, 2019, 2020. Somebody told her in order to be in the movie, you got to wear hair extensions because she looks like she just got off the cover of Sports Illustrated. And when I watched this, I was like, oh my God, these people are going to be in front of the television a lot because the normers are going to be watching them.
Yep. What about Pete Hegseth? He doesn't have hair extensions.
Well, I call her brunette Barbie in the Ken doll. Okay. So that's all I'm going to say.
And we've been talking about this for a long time. I mean, human psychology, marketing 101. Do you think it's a coincidence that every person in administration is incredibly good looking? No.
Right.
Not at all.
Exactly.
It might as well be a beer commercial.
I think a bunch of men wrote this movie. No, nothing against them. But anyway, it's good.
Thank you, Bria. Incredible job.
Right. That was okay.
I have never seen a caller blow up the chat like that. That was incredible.
No,
but I just want to revisit one thing that she said because it's so important, right? And it's literally go back to our good friend Drew James, and I'm not calling out Drew. I love Drew. But she just gave you the answer that we have been screaming about for a year, right? People cannot wrap their heads around why has the mainstream media not been taken down? Why is Maxine Waters still out there doing that? Why? She summed it up perfectly. Every person on this show right now has experienced that moment, whether it was last year or 20 years ago, has experienced the moment where you realize you got tricked.
Yes.
And then you realize you got tricked by somebody who was intentionally trying to deceive you. And that is a horrible feeling, whether it's your girlfriend or the news, it's a bad feeling. You don't forget it. You can't recreate that moment. Everyone must live that moment. So what she was describing, that moment where the people, that 4 to 6%, the people screaming, the people in these videos, realize that CNN's been lying to them this whole time, realize that their favorite politician, their favorite podcaster, their favorite whatever, that's the moment where your matrix gets shattered, and you must allow everyone to go through that individually. If you simply took down the mainstream media and told everybody the truth, if you simply took down all the politicians and told everybody the truth, then it would just happen all over again because they wouldn't learn what it's like to get tricked. Once you learn what it's like to get tricked, you never go back. And that was, to me, the whole thing was brilliant. But that is exactly why we sit here every week. Oh, these people aren't getting it. Oh, they're singing this terrible song on television. Oh, look at the people screaming on X. I've said it from the beginning, and I believe it. And I think Bria would agree. You are going to see, like, they're going to be hanging people on the gallows. There's going to be videos of them confessing, and there's still going to be people telling you it's not real, just to get that last group of people to see the lying in real time. I think that is incredibly important. That's why all this is still happening.
Can I say something to that, Dave? Because what you're describing is narcissist abuse. This getting tricked, right? And I'm sure everyone on this panel and everyone watching has dated a narcissist at some point. And that getting tricked over and over, when you have been gaslit so many times that you don't even know your own reality, That is severe trauma. And anyone who's been in that situation knows recovering from that, it's really hard. But we're in a different situation, are we? Like, what does it take to recover from that? We're not just going to show you that you've been gaslit. We're then going to give you the on-ramp to a speedy recovery, right? Because now you have, I don't want to sound weird, but you know, Trump is your daddy. And this is what we've created. We've got this guy. We've got this system now that's going to bring you in for a soft landing. You know, in real life, you dated narcissists, you deal with narcissistic abuse, you spend 3 years recovering. I mean, that's real. You do. Because you're looking for somebody who's going to restore your faith. Well, in this movie, as Bria pointed out, the end's already there. You don't got to wait 3 years for that smooth landing. This is ready to greet you with a big hug and open arms. It's incredible, man. This is incredible. This is Hollywood and psychology, and oh, I'm loving it. I'm loving it.
Well said, man. Well said.
And you think about it, what she said about how beautiful his people are. Think about the contrast between those people and Rachel Levin and the guy that stole the dresses and the suitcases.
Sam Britton. Yeah.
Thank you. Oh my God.
Oh, well, hey,
look at the difference. It's hilarious.
Can you imagine, you know, how much longer men last when they picture Maxine Waters? I mean,
God.
They got some good looking folks on that D team. Let me tell you, I'm sure women swoon over Gerald Nadler.
I hate to say this, guys.
Or how about Macho Man Adam Schiff?
I think Maxine Waters is a man. That's the most manly man-looking woman I've ever seen.
It doesn't even make a good.
I mean, Patty brings up an excellent point. Do you see why? I mean, do you see why they did this? Now does everyone understand the absolute cartoon absurdity of this? Now do people understand why we were screaming for 4 years that the white hats were in control? Do you seriously think that the bad guys would put this guy up there to handle the nuclear waste? Come on.
Hey, at some point in that guy's day, he had to look in the mirror and go, yeah, that's the look I was looking for, and leaves the house.
Yeah. For anybody that doesn't know, this is Sam Britton, the person they told you was in charge in a cabinet level position in charge of handling the nuclear waste of the country and had a very high clearance.
Wait, the cherry on the sundae had a Q level clearance. Yeah.
Yeah.
The best part was the foil for him, right? Because then we find out he liked to steal luggage at the airport, and
there's no cameras around the way.
Oh, I mean, you can't, like, this is pure script writing. And then how he gets busted is that he steals a woman's luggage, which has some rare, very rare. Well, there's like one of a kind,
lingerie,
like, African knitted like dress thing that was like handmade by this tribe. Like, you can't. And then he wears it for a public appearance. And the woman who said, that's mine, and there literally are no others.
Yeah.
And then they go to the airport, they find the footage of him stealing it. Like, it's brilliant. It's brilliant.
That's treason. That's treason. They say, holy shit, they caught us. They caught us.
What storm, Mr. President?
You'll find out.
And they know judgment day shall come.
See, I think that is brilliant.
Yeah.
And the main point in that is that everyone individually has to feel some sort of heartbreak that they have been tricked, lied to. You know, everyone knows, like, everyone knows that feeling in many different ways. Your best friend's lied to you, girlfriend's cheated on you, you know, boyfriend, whatever, you know. And when these people find out that the people that have lied to them are the people they've queued up to get that and tested and done
they've trusted. They've trusted. I had seen that. I didn't put connection to the title of it. That's amazing. I had seen that, and they're right. And you know, the other thing that dawned on me, that person, I forgot their name, the one in the dress with the lipstick, the orange dress, when they said, Yeah, and had Q clearance and all this stuff. So, you know, it's all in my opinion, humiliation rituals. You know, right? I mean, the people don't know they're being the normies don't know they're being. You're trying to use that to get them to wake up, but it is for us, like, to watch that, knowing these were bad people on, you know, supposed to be on the side of good, who are being humiliated now with the absurd depiction of them.
Yeah, and you know, I believe that the reason we've seen this play out like it is, for us that are awake, is to laugh and get us through it and see these clues, and for the normies to question the absurdity of it, to wake them up.
Yeah,
you know. But I think that is a perfect. I've watched that so many times. Perfect. That were 21 minutes there. So what
and doesn't it really answer like a lot of what we believe, you and I, which she put it so beautifully and articulated it so well about the censorship. Like it instead of us just saying, oh, it's probably, you know, the white hats because they're trying to wake people up with the censor. It could be very well, that could all be true. But the fact that this is a movie and we're living through a movie, it seems like every person that is telling stuff that's supposed to be revealed are the ones who have been censored. Kind of goes to that idea that, hey guys, you're spoiling it. We don't want people to know this yet. Even going back to Charlie Ward, you know, being disinvited to certain events because he was talking about Israel a couple of years ago and everything that was you know, so they, oh, it's anti-Semitic, whatever the hell reason they gave it. But really, he was ruining the movie. You know, it could potentially be ruining the movie and the big reveal.
Yeah, you are watching a pantomime.
Yeah.
You know, we've said that before. The reason a lot of us got censored and all our Twitter got shut down was, I believe, for two reasons. You know, and by the white hats. Number one, to maybe we were putting out too much stuff too quick, and this movie had to play out for 8-9 years or however long it's going to. And number two, to show the normies the censorship. And also number three, the fact that it had to play out for that devolution period, the pause of Biden, and then they started letting us back on, right? And Elon got in control of Twitter, or the military got in control of Twitter, and it's, whereas the left thought they were the vast majority, Elon came in. Biden had 22 million followers on Twitter. They found out half of those were bots.
Right.
And they started filtering out all the rubbish. So they amplified our noise and our truth ability when we were allowed back on. That is a perfect thing, because there's so many people on the left questioning things now. Well, in fact, they've got no choice but to question it, because they can't look away from it, because it must be overwhelming, the stuff we're putting out there. You've got to be seriously ingrained into the system now to still think nothing was ever wrong, and your government loves you, and the only ingredients they put in food are for your benefit, and all these
100%.
things.
100%.
You know, that's amazing. Right, should we go through this piss takes and Patriots then? We got a few little bits.
Yeah, we'll go through those.
Mightn't we? There's a few little videos in there and a few little memes, and we'll just play one and have a little chat after.
People came at me saying, hey, don't you realize this is about drugs, fentanyl, and cartels? Well, that's not the whole story, guys. That's what they want you to believe. People think Trump's down there to stop drugs from coming into America. That's part of it, but that's not the mission. Drugs are the smallest part of the operation. This isn't about fentanyl, cocaine, or heroin. This is about money, drug money. It doesn't just move through the cartels. It moves through private banks, family offices, offshore structures, investment vehicles. It props up commercial banks. It backstops liquidity. It keeps the entire globalist financial system breathing when it should have collapsed a long time ago. From the US to Europe to the Far East, trillions of dollars. That's the real infrastructure. And that is what Trump is targeting. That's why he isn't really targeting governments. He's targeting funding arteries. And that terrifies the globalists more than anything on earth. Because banker-run economies don't survive on real production. They survive on invisible money flows. And Trump is forcing a shift back to reality. Real goods, real sovereignty, real borders, and real industry. That leaves the financial parasites behind. And they know it. And that's why they're desperate to keep war burning elsewhere. That's why Europe stays on fire. That's why Ukraine never ends. And that's why they scream about everything except what's happening on our own hemisphere. Now, here's where it gets interesting. The moment the US military starts destroying narco-terrorists at home, the money trail lights up. One boat gets intercepted and suddenly the phones explode. Encrypted calls fly. Signals light up. You got messages getting sent. And our intelligence apparatus maps the entire spider web of connection. Who's paying who? Which banks are involved? Which family offices are involved? Which offshore jurisdictions? And which countries and which politicians are compromised? That's the real panic. That's why you're seeing coordinated attacks on Trump's people. That's why they're going after Pete Hegseth. That's why South American power brokers are screaming behind closed doors, calling their globalist handlers, demanding this be shut down because the money was flowing and now it isn't. Trump isn't just stopping drugs. He's choking the giants that fund the global system. And here's the truth. A massive portion of the world's legitimate financial system is soaked in narco money. And it has been for some time, which is why there never really was a war on drugs. And that's why thousands are dying from fentanyl, pointlessly, for globalist greed. It could have been stopped, but our intelligence agencies protected those flows for decades because that money keeps their machine running too. Trump is disrupting that machine also. And when you attack the money, the system, not the headlines, not the ideology, and not the puppets, then the entire structure starts to shake and panic. That's what you're watching right now. Not a drug war, not foreign policy theater, a financial war. And for the first time in over a century, the globalists are on defense.
Yeah, exactly.
So two things. He said about that they're behind funding the narco, the financial industry is funding that. Well, we would also include child trafficking in that. But more importantly, I would go a step further and say they created it. I would go as far as say they created it.
Yeah.
They created those cartels. They didn't just help. They didn't just, turn the other cheeks. They were making money. That was the brainchild of.
Well, Obama and all that created ISIS and stuff. They're all proxy armies so that the real controllers can remain hidden behind the scenes as if they have nothing to do with it. Right? The hidden hand. Yeah.
Absolutely.
You put that up. I mean, that's quite,
that one.
Isn't it? But it's, this is the whole point of Sun Tzu and fifth generation warfare and
the art of war, the art of the deal.
Deception and misdirection. It's constantly. This is why we don't know even us that are paying such close attention still don't know what Trump's up to.
Right.
The fucking enemies certainly don't, do they?
Yeah. That's why we're sitting here looking at his speech last night going, okay, what did this mean? Did this mean something? Was he trying to tell us that, right?
It was too raw, wasn't it? 48 to 72 hours. I should take a good look. We talked to Jason about it tomorrow, but I'll take a really good look and catch up with everything over the weekend. And I'm sure some people will be delving into that much, much more. But this, the whole situation in Venezuela, Maduro doesn't look too, whether he's part of this movie or not. But this was just after Trump seized one of his ships, wasn't it? It wasn't a warship, was it? It was a cruiser or something, I think. But it was a fuel tanker, wasn't it, full of oil?
Yes, and by the way, just think about the lack of reality. Here we have Trump in the military all around the world doing this, doing that, doing this, right? And Maduro's just like, okay, I'm just kind of hanging, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, now I'm the target. It just doesn't even make sense, that it's just, again, we come back to the movie.
Yeah, exactly. So what is he doing here? Look.
Don't worry, be happy. La 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 la. Don't worry, be happy. La 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 la. Just peace, not war.
Okay, wait, stop. Look at the background, Stu.
Yeah.
There's no people behind there. It's like these few people. That's like a background. Like it's just so obviously a filmed, you know, a studio production.
Yeah, because there's other bits. He's been dancing as well, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
I mean, it's great.
Yeah.
There's so much similarities between this shooting, isn't there, of Kennedy? It's to get us eyes on. And the good thing that I was saying to you as well yesterday is the fact that in '63 there wasn't a digital army. Right. We didn't have eyes on. We didn't have video cameras. We didn't have mobile phones. We didn't have all these people talking about, you know, snipers going on YouTube and people shooting lumps of meat and talking about 30-06s and all this stuff and camera angles and sharing of information, because it said in the Joe M video right at the start, about 5 years ago, they used the internet and technology to track and trace us, but we have used it against them.
Yes.
Because they are now the ones being tracked and traced, which is why they've had to use BlackBerry phones and communications and have conversations in Star Wars games online and things like that.
Yep.
Which the white hats have it all. They've got it all. This is a lovely little video.
Sometimes 50 and sometimes 22. The most important thing as you get older, you have to stay involved. You have to use your brain, interacting with other people, which is one of the most important things. It has to do stuff here. Do I have things wrong with me? Of course I do. So what? Everybody's got stuff wrong. I'm lucky. I get up every morning. I know who I am. I know where I am. And I have a purpose. Be involved with the world. Be aware. Be able to have conversations with younger people, not be stuck in, I'm old, it's terrible. Screw it. Get up and move your fucking body. Take care of yourself mentally, physically, emotionally. Be part of the world.
That's sweet.
It is nice, isn't it?
Sweet.
And I've just thought of no point playing that. December the 19th might be very epic. Oh yeah, let's play that because it is December the 19th tomorrow, isn't it? I can't remember this video.
One vote. You've never heard of that shit. You've never heard of any fucking Congress voting 400 to 1. Horse fuck shit you have. They've never voted on anything 400 to fucking 1, people. Ever. Now, they came out after the files were voted on to be released and told the military to disobey an unlawful order. What unlawful order are they talking about? The executive.
Hold up, I'm going to stop that because I didn't realise that's a 10-minute video.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So. Wasn't. That is funny, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, that one again.
This is.
Follow Jesus, but most Christians would say I don't, because I don't worship him. And that's the problem. Christianity has turned following Jesus into worshiping Jesus. It replaced his teachings with idolatry. It's easier to bow to an image of him on a Sunday than to live the consciousness that he embodied every day. Because Jesus never said, worship me. He said, follow me. He showed people how to forgive, how to love without conditions, how to recognize the kingdom of heaven that was within themselves. But somewhere along the way, the message got buried underneath dogma. The church made him into a deity to be worshipped instead of a teacher to be emulated. So people sing to him, but they don't live like him. They memorize verses about love, yet they use those verses to judge and divide people. They claim to believe in Jesus, but then they ignore everything he actually taught about compassion, truth, and inner awakening. Following Jesus isn't about kneeling at an altar or repeating a prayer. It's about embodying what he embodied. It's the realization that we are all connected to God, that the kingdom of heaven isn't up there or out here somewhere. It's right here inside of us. I don't worship Jesus because I don't think he ever asked to be worshipped. I follow him because he showed us how to become what we already are, children of God who are capable of the same light and love that he lived every single day.
Yeah.
True that.
True that, isn't it? Oh, this is really interesting. You'll know a lot more about this being in America than me, obviously, but this is some in the mainstream media, I won't tell you.
And the FBI was just caught massively lying about those numbers in their public reports. They recorded, get this, none of them. 0%. Now, you and I and everyone else have seen those local heroes on social media, but rarely do we ever see these stories in mainstream media. Well, the script is about to flip because a new study by the Crime Prevention Research Center reveals that armed civilians stopped over 1/3 of active criminal shooters between 2014 and 2024, nearly 10 times higher than FBI's reported 3.7% average. And again, with even more Americans getting armed post-2020, just last year alone in 2024, civilians stopped half of all criminal shooters. Yet, as I just stated, the FBI recorded 0 of them. You might be asking, how is this possible? Well, while digging for the study, researchers found that police were often falsely credited instead of the armed civilian, which is a recording pattern that clearly increased over the last 10 years. Now, this begs the question, why would they work so hard to hide the significant benefits of an armed public?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the one I just posted.
What did you post that one there?
Remember duck season, wabbit season, false flag season, psyop season.
Yeah. Oh, yes. What's that? Oh, that was last night, was it?
Yeah, 24 minutes after.
Was that after he spoke last night?
24 minutes after.
It's time, and that's on Il Donado's.
Yep. Puppy.
Wow. That is good. Now, I just want to, because that's just made me think. Now, I'm going to just try and find a little video here that I know I've got saved, because I watched Jason's Friday Night Fuckery, and anyone that was watching that, he was talking about talent, and he had a young girl playing a piano. I think anyone in the chat that was watching that would have seen it. And right, there we go. That's set up. Jason's Friday Night Fucker, he just plays loads of different videos and all sorts of things, and it's wonderful. But I'll play a little video for you in a minute, if you don't mind. It is 7 minutes long, and I think we could play that to end with, really. But if I'm ever going to play anything that will make you just sit there and appreciate talent in silence and possibly cry a little bit, we'll do that. But I just want to say, because obviously there's a few people in the chat that have come in after I said this earlier. Elisa and I joined Jason's Zoom last week, and it was amazing. I thought Jason and Dina would be in there, but they weren't. But Elisa came in for an hour, and I was in there 4.5 hours. And, Kate was in there, Wendy, Miss B, Scott, Brett, LeBron, I don't know his name, but he was in the chat, Kurt, Charlotte, and that. James Bruce guy was in there, and it was just talking to people that sort the earth, just like myself, and Elisa. It was wonderful. Do you know what I mean? And I loved it, and I loved hearing your stories and the appreciation and all. And I'll give my appreciation back, and I know Elisa does as well. But Elisa and I have decided on Saturday, if anyone's about, just as a one-off to see how it goes, and then we might do it more regularly, on 3 o'clock on Saturday afternoon, GMT, and 10 a.m. Eastern, we're just going to do a live on StreamYard. We can have up to 10 people in, so that'd be me and Elisa and 8 others. If any of you want to come in and just have a chat for a couple of hours, like we did on Zoom, you don't have to show your face, but it will be on StreamYard. I shall post a link in the We Not Me chat, my Stu's News channel. Elisa will put one in a long Awaken
Patriots of Long Island.
Yeah, if anyone's not following that, that's another Telegram group you can follow. Have I got that? I don't think I've got that in there. Your Telegram group? No, it's not in there. I haven't got it in there. But yeah, if anyone wants to join us, I think you'll be welcome. It might just be Elisa and I sitting there, So do come and join us, right? And we can have a little chat. Like I was saying, show your face or not. Elisa?
Yeah. I mean, that was so fun. It was just nice. It was heartwarming. It was nice to be able to just like talk back and forth in a conversational way. So we're excited. We'll see how it goes. And if everybody enjoys it, and if we, hear that a lot of people couldn't, come in because we're limited on StreamYard, kind of like a little bit of a test, then we can always expand it to Zoom, at some point.
Yeah. Well, obviously, if we're inundated, I don't even know how it's going to work, because I don't know if we can have 10 people on screen, if there's 10 there, and whether other people will appear below in the back room, and if that does happen, obviously I want to, someone have a chat and then go, and then I'll maybe add someone else in or whatever like that, or there might be plenty of room for just whoever wants to join. I know Wendy can't because she's got things to do, but all you guys in the We Not Me chat that have come over and supported us, we absolutely adore you, and don't we?
Yeah, we do. We really are so grateful for you guys for following us and showing up, and thank you.
Right, this is a little video. 15-year-old singer Emma Koch, and she was a Andre Rieu, and I think she performs with him a fair bit now, but he tells the story about it, and this is touching, this, and beautiful.
Haar broertje heeft zijn podiumdebuut hier bij ons gemaakt, op het Vrijthof. Her little brother had his first performance on stage here with us on the Vrijthof. I still see him sitting there between the violins. And now he is a fantastic violinist. Hij is een fantastische violist nu. U herinnert het zich misschien ook. Ik heb het over Enzo Koch. And Enzo has a little sister, Emma. Unfortunately, Emma has a rare but terrible disease. Her stomach is paralyzed. She cannot eat. All the food goes through a little tube directly into her stomach. But Emma is a brave girl. She wants to live a normal life. And Emma has a dream. She has a beautiful voice. She wants to be a singer. She did the voice kids here in Holland, and immediately she won. She created a foundation to raise money to study this terrible disease and perhaps even in the future cure it. Emma, I think, is an example for all of us. Give her an enormous applause. There she is, Emma Koch.
Écoutez-moi, moi la chanteuse à demi. Parlez-moi à vos amours, à vos amis. Parlez-leur de cette fille aux yeux noirs et de son rêve fort. Moi, ce que je veux, c'est écrire des histoires qui arrivent jusqu'à vous. C'est tout. Voilà, 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 voilà qui je suis. Mais voilà mes messies, mes années chapeaux. Oui, mais voilà tout le bruit et tout le silence. Regardez-moi, ôtez-moi ce qu'il reste. Regardez-moi, avant que je me déteste. Crois vous dire que les lèvres de notre ne vous diront pas ces petites choses, mais moi, tout ce que j'ai, je l'ai déposé là. Voilà, voilà, avec mes cils, mes anus c'est fini. C'est mes gueules, c'est mon cri, mais vous voilà, tant pis. Voilà, 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 juste ici. Mon rêve, mon vie, comme je crève, comme je ris. Mais voilà tout le gris et tout le silence. Ne partez pas, je vous supplie, restez longtemps. Ça me serait pas, non. Me faire souffrir, je sais pas comment. Aimez-moi comme un ennemi qui se va pour toujours. Je veux quand même, parce que moi je sais pas, il me met mes contours. Voilà, 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 voilà qui je suis. Mais voilà avec mes cils, mes anus je cours, oui. Mais voilà tout le gris et nous le firons aussi. Regardez-moi enfant et mes yeux et mes doigts. Tout ce que j'ai d'ici, c'est ma gueule, c'est mon cri. Mais voilà, mais voilà, mais voilà. C'est mes rêves, c'est mon cri, mais voilà tant pis.
Bravo.
I imagine us moving into a world where that stuff is going on everywhere. No criminality, just love, talent, passion. It's pretty special, that, isn't it?
Yeah,
I
very.
didn't go as much as I thought I was, because I was under pressure, no doubt.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
really sweet. How old is that little girl?
15, 16, something
Yes,
like that.
15? Okay. Yeah, you couldn't tell. She's very petite. Yeah, what a voice.
She's older now. That was a few years back, I think.
Okay. What a voice.
Yeah, she was 15 there, 2 years ago, that was.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's amazing, you know, with the stomach issues and everything she's got. But shows you, doesn't it, that there's so much beauty in this realm we live in.
For sure.
We're moving to a golden age like that. Just keep the faith, hold the line. Where we go, when we go, we'll be all right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. So tomorrow we're back on here at, let's see, 11:30 Central, 12:30 Eastern. and 5:30 UK time.
Yeah.
With Jason. So that should be a fun. It's always fun.
Yeah, I know we'll have a lot to talk about. It's been 2 weeks, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we've had so much going on, and I know it's been busy, but yeah. Thank you to everyone in the chat.
We love you.
Yeah, we love you. Let us know if you want to come and join us on Saturday, and we'll just see how it goes. And we'll have a few more of you on the screen, and we'll have a couple of hour waffle if you want. But that'd be amazing. So thank you all for joining, and we'll see you with Jason tomorrow, no doubt. See you later. Where we go, on we go all.